When you hear the name Flint, Michigan, chances are good you think of the city's problem with lead in the drinking water. And now testing has discovered a big problem in yet another American city, Syracuse, New York. Advocacy groups say it has some of the highest levels of lead found in drinking water in decades. Lilia Luciano went to Syracuse, and she joins us now. Lilia, good morning.
Good morning to you, Tony. Look, city officials are pushing back on claims that this is a crisis, saying that the latest water testing this month showed that the levels had improved. But some advocates are questioning those results and methodologies. And residents we spoke with say the city needs to be doing a lot more to protect their families.
Thank you. How was school today? Good.
When 5-year-old Ella showed traces of lead in a blood test, her grandmother, Oceana Fair, was terrified, knowing the effects of lead poisoning, starting with her brother more than 40 years ago.
And is essentially an 8-year-old that me and my siblings care for.
In 2020, Fair fought for federal funding to fully remove lead paint from her home. She was confident her home was lead-free, but as recently as 2022, tests showed her granddaughter was still exposed. How did you feel?
Helpless. Helpless because we couldn't put our finger on it. We didn't know where she was coming into contact with it.
She says the culprit had been hiding in the basement. How'd you find out? Did you have to hire somebody?
It's pretty simple. You can scratch your line, and that silver that you see underneath,
That means
that's lead.
lead. She only checked this August after a letter from the city warned of high lead levels in nearly 30% of water samples taken from homes with lead service lines. More confirmation?
We eventually bought a new fridge that had a filter. Her lead levels went down, and we assumed it was from the diet we were feeding her.
This is a community plagued by lead issues, where 9% of children have suffered from lead poisoning. In some black and brown neighborhoods, it's 1 in 5.
So you have the public side of the service.
Syracuse Mayor Ben Walsh has called the results from the spring outliers, stressing the latest testing showed far lower lead levels. But he says the city is working to replace all lead service lines faster than the EPA's 10-year deadline and providing filters to families with small children. We've heard from people in this community who are extremely alarmed, whose children have tested positive. This is being compared to Flint. What's your response to people who are that worried?
Yeah, well, I don't think the facts support those comparisons. The specific challenges that we're dealing with, again, are limited to the properties that have lead service lines. So if you don't have any lead service lines, there's no reason to be concerned.
But he acknowledges even the city does not have a full inventory of all pipes made of lead. This is a community that's 70% renters, meaning people don't know whether those pipes are made out of lead, bringing water into their homes. Darlene Medley says the city is failing her 2 twin boys who suffered from developmental and behavioral issues from lead poisoning.
You tell people when their kids are poisoned by lead that they will never make it to what they were fully supposed to be. You don't think that deserves a damn apology? That deserves an apology and a whole lot more.
The twins had been poisoned because of lead paint, and then to find out that this is in the water. And there are millions of buildings across the country that have these lead lines. This year, the EPA mandated that states and municipalities must change every lead pipe that delivers drinking water within the next 10 years. The Biden administration, is part of the bipartisan infrastructure law, provides $15 billion in funding to replace these lead lines. In Syracuse, it's going to take about 5 years because there are at least 14,000 of these lines to change. Of course, the community says it needs to happen a lot faster.
Yeah, you feel her passion and her anger about what is happening.
Yeah.
Of course.
It seems like this could be avoided.
It can be avoided.
Not have to be.
And there are chemicals that are used to control the corrosion, but clearly in those samples, they didn't seem to have worked. And the fixtures within the house in some homes are also an issue. It's not just the lead pipe. So even if you change them, it's important to get them
Feel that
tested.
parent's pain there at the end of your story, though.
Yep.
Ooh.
It was so painful to hear.
All right, Lilia, thank you.